Oh, right. It's 6 o'clock. Let's see if anybody shows up. Um, hope this is the right clinic. I think it is. Actually, I gotta do this. Mm, good, good. All right, so we are recording. Yay. Aha. So guys, I'm going to start talking right away. I think there's people going to log in right away as I do this. I hope there's 4 people said they're going to join us tonight. So hopefully this works. Again, I'm going to take another shot at this. I'm going to do Monday 16th to work best for me. Today, it was a bit tough day. I helped out with the Edmonton New Year's Day run this morning, and it pretty much took like 5 hours up at 6:30 in the morning, so like a run day. And it was a lot of work. And I actually didn't run, I ran a bit, but I was a sweeper. I do events. I do events for the running room as well as teach clinics and look after the run club and sometimes work at the store. And I'm a race director as well. So yay, busy. I left working at the running room just almost a year ago. I managed the store in St. Albert, and then I went back to started out sales, took over as manager because nobody else wanted the job, gave up the manager job probably 2 years ago, and we got a fantastic manager there now, so I'm glad I did. And then after a while, this past last year, I'm retired. I'm 65. I turned 65 today, which is kind of interesting. I'm 65 years old. Oh my God. That's why I'm growing my hair out, because if I cut it, you actually get to see all the gray hair. But one day I remember I usually work Tuesdays a lot because that was bank day, and the manager would go do banking and I look after the store. And what I ended up doing one Tuesday morning is I woke up and I checked with one of my coworkers and asked if she wanted to work that shift because she was complaining about not getting hours anyhow. And she said yes. So I called my boss and I booked sick. I took a sick day. And guess what I did when I booked sick? I went for a run. And my head just said, I'd rather go for a run than go to work. And I figured that was the time to say, sayonara, time to leave. So I did. Hopefully that my boss isn't listening to this, but that was a sign. Like it's age 65. I don't really have to be there. Other people needed hours, so I left. So yeah. Anyhow, so this is what I'm doing now. There's no word on clinics yet. I'm thinking I'm going to hear this week because if there's a clinic aimed at Vancouver or Toronto Marathon weekends, that would start today. That would start like this week. That this is the starting point. 18 weeks from now is May 5th, I think, is the date. Let me check and for sure. May. Okay, it's not December 24th. This is the wrong training plan. But yeah, it's I think it's May 5th or 4th, whatever that Sunday is. So that's 18 weeks away tomorrow, today, and or actually yesterday, Sunday. And for if you're planning on doing a spring race like the St. Patrick's Day race, that's March something, St. Patrick's Day weekend, and that's like 11 weeks away. So clinics would have to start this week, which is and I'm sort of nervous not hearing anything, so that's got me a little bit worried. But hopefully, is something will pop up. Anyhow, notification. I hate cell phones. Hopefully it's not important. Um, Nothing. Okay, anyway, so I'm gonna just keep yapping. And again, you guys, if you want to, if people pop in, I'll just keep talking. Anyhow, so I'm thinking I'm gonna plan this clinic for that because the Vancouver weekend has a full half and an 8K run. The Toronto one has a full half, I think a 10 and a 5K run. So I can make up a clinic aimed at all those different distances. It's going to be hard with one clinic, but I'm just going to do one day a week. Mondays, 6 o'clock seems to work the best for me. I'd like to do Saturday mornings, but I'm again with the events guys, so I'm usually working Saturday mornings, so I can't really do that. I can do optional days though. I can do if somebody wants to do a Saturday morning, if there's a Saturday I got nothing else going on, sure, I can be like a tutor and we can talk about something specific that morning, which I think will be fine. I think that'll work. Again, this is my Zoom. This is my Zoom account. So I can have a clinic go half an hour, 1 hour, however long I want. I can start anytime. I can do it any time of the week. So that's going to be the bonus. And I saw there's interest in tonight's, and I saw that there were 4 people say they were going to come. Just remember, this is Mountain Standard Time, right? Not anything else. So 6 o'clock Mountain Standard Time. I won't do the math. I know 6 o'clock is 5 o'clock BC time, back east. Eastern Canada is different. So make sure you pay attention to that. I think I saw somebody log on earlier on this, but maybe I've left. But I'm gonna, yeah, keep it rocking. And so today, let's talk about, again, I talked about this. If you've been following the Facebook page, I've been doing a couple of Zooms just for practice, and that's what this is as well. Some point in the next 18 weeks, I will do Excel and I will try a PowerPoint. I, for some reason, have never learned how to do those two things, and I really should, especially when I'm doing this on my own. When I have the running room backing me up on this, I have a um, um, uh, availability of other things, right? Like I got access to their training plans, which is kind of fine. So if you've taken clinics from me, you know I have my sort of the things about the training plan I don't like. I don't like it being set in stone. I like it having a lot of variety into it and have it work for people rather than people having to work aimed at that training plan. So I like playing with that. So I will suggest that. I will talk about that in a few seconds. And then I think next week, next Monday, what I'm going to talk about is running. We're going to talk specifically about running because good thing. But again, I want to talk about pace. I want to talk about, or effort rather, how to judge that effort. I want to talk about, okay, what's this? Okay. Anyhow, so I'm gonna, yeah, somebody just posted on here. Anyhow, so I'm gonna say, yeah, next week I'll do more on running, the effort, breathing, this heart rate, and how to carry on from that. Because I think with 18 weeks, I will talk about products at some point. I will talk about shoes. I will talk about clothing because winter, if we have winter, I know Eastern Canada, you have winter. BC, you got rain. Here we got nothing. We got some ice on the trails. That's it. That's all we got. There's really no snow. It's not really that cold. This week is supposed to dip to like -10. It's January. That's crazy talk. I'm a little bit nervous because if we don't get a lot of snow, for just for aesthetics, it looks prettier. It's a little different running in snow, but also I like cross country skiing. And well, there's no cross country skiing now. There's actually a big event here in Edmonton called the Birkenbinder in I think it's February, 1 month away. I don't think that's going to go ahead because there's no snow. And here they don't make snow. I know Canmore they can. Canmore, Alberta, they make snow. Anyhow, let's figure out this plan part. Aiming at that 18 weeks or 10 weeks. 10 weeks if you're doing like the 10K, 5K, you're about 8 weeks early aiming for that, but still you should actually start planning now. January 1st is a perfect time to start. My favorite thing every year is to do the New Year's Day run. We used to call it the resolution run. We changed the name, but having that 5K on this day, the years that I've done it, it's always become a good year. There's years when I haven't done it, it's still a pretty good year, but not, it always seems to click my head. And usually what I start the year off is with, again, me and some of my buddies will do the 100 workouts in 100 days. And I love doing that. I like that prod and doing it with other people, either in person or virtually, or just emailing people or FaceTiming people or yeah, or Facebook Live with people just to have that connection and have that commitment and just every so often say, what are you going to do? What did you do today? Right. I know somebody that was interested in this clinic that isn't on right now, but she wanted that encouragement for training during the week. So that could be me for the week as well. I can say, let's do this, this, and this. But again, I don't want to say that you have to do this on Monday, you have to do this on Tuesday, you have to do this on Wednesday, because not everybody's life is the same. I've said this in other clinics and I've said this in other talks. It's not all of us work Monday through Friday with Saturday and Sundays off. Not all of us work 9 to 5. Not all of us can actually just finish work at 5 and go for a run. That's where things are different as well, right? It's life. I used to always work evenings. I used to usually work from 3 o'clock to 11 o'clock. So my time for running was usually in the mornings. My days off were usually like something like Friday, Saturday, sometimes Tuesday, Wednesdays, or never weekends. So I couldn't do like a lot of the Sunday long runs. I was doing long runs on my own. So my long runs I would just change. I would make my long runs on Monday. Or if I had Saturdays off, I'd do it on Saturdays. I would just find some way to do them. So I'm trying to make them work. And sometimes if I was aiming for a marathon and it just wasn't possible to do a marathon long runs, I would say, hey, I can't do a marathon. I would start training my plan now. Look at what is ahead for the next 18 weeks and say, I can't really do a 32K run. I can't plan on going for a 3 hour run at all on a regular basis. So I'm just going to do the half and cut that back to where I'm doing like 2.5 hour runs or shorter or 2 hour runs. So that works for me. That's a trick to make setting up a training plan is make sure it works for you. First of all, decide what your goal is going to be. Decide what that goal you want. Then take a look at what your availability is. What can you do? Can you do those runs? If you're doing for a marathon, have you got that base built up right now? Have you got that you've been running for a while, you've done some 5Ks and 10K runs, you're ready to move up to the half. Have you done a half before? A couple halves? Are you set to go for a marathon? If you haven't done the work to start with and you want to do a full marathon in 18 weeks, having just run 5Ks, not going to work. So make sure you understand that part. You have to have that base before you go to marathon. Do you have a huge base? Not really. It depends on your goal for marathon day, but do you want to be upright and smiling when you finish, or do you want to be struggling and falling all over the place? And is it you want to make sure it's an effort that you're going to be happy with, and or it's going to be a struggle? Make sure you got that base. If you don't, I don't want to scare people away, but if you don't have that base, that's important. There is a neat show, I've mentioned this before, on CBC Gem called Mind Over Marathon. And yes, there are people in that have never run before, and they do a marathon in 20 weeks. But that was a different whole story, and there were some of the people in that group that were runners beforehand. But no, if you haven't run even 5Ks, and I've done that, I've back in 1997 or 98, before most of you were born. I did a marathon in Kelowna, and before that, my longest run was a five. I think I did a half marathon. I did a half marathon in 1997 and 98. I thought I could do a full, but I didn't do the training. I remember flying to Kamloops and then to Kelowna with my journal in front of me and going through my training and trying to justify why I missed so many runs. Well, of course, I was not going to finish because I hadn't done the training and I didn't have the base built up. I didn't have the time to train. So you live and learn. That's me. I've made a lot of mistakes. That's why I share a lot of this stuff, because don't do what I say, don't do what I did. But you have to have that base. You have to have the availability. So take a look at that. And can you say do your runs in the morning before you go to work during the weekend or during the week? Can you do your runs in the evenings after dinner, after you take your kids to hockey or while your kids are playing hockey? What can you do? I used to do that as well. I used to take my kids to swim class, swim clinics for learn how to swim. They would have their hour. I'd go for an hour run. And sometimes it would take an hour and a half, and my kids would be waiting for me, and I'd be in trouble. But figure out what your lifestyle allows. If it doesn't allow you to do a marathon or doesn't allow you to do an Ironman triathlon, don't try to force this. Don't think you can wiggle that out somehow. And don't pick a thing that's going to cause you a lot of stress. Running, training causes stress on your body, right? And you have to rebuild. You don't want to add more stress onto that by stressing out your lifestyle, your significant others, your kids, your work. You don't want to miss out on work, right? You got to get paid. So yeah, make sure it works for you. I've seen so many times where people have tried clinics or tried aiming at races, and it just didn't work. And they get disappointed, and they do their run. They do like the marathon, and it sucks. Well, it sucks. They finish, but sometimes they don't. And then they say never again. That's like a bucket list thing, right? They do their marathon, never again. I don't like that part. I'm going to say that a lot. I don't like people that I don't think a bucket list. I think running should become a lifestyle and it's part of your life. Do you always have to train for something? No, but make sure it's there. Make sure it's part of you. It's nice to have. It's nice to have something like that. And use running if you're aiming at the 5K races, 8Ks. If this is your first dip in the water to take up running, because I know there are going to be a lot of learned runners on this clinic as well. If this is your first step, try to make it work for you. Make it part of your life, because that's what the whole point of 10-week clinics was. You would do this 10 weeks in the store with their run clubs and with your clinic nights. And after 10 weeks, it becomes habit. 6 o'clock Wednesdays, you're going for a run. 8:30 or 9:30, 8:30 Sunday mornings, you're going for a run. It just became a lifestyle and it became a habit like brushing your teeth, and you just did it. And that was me. That's my story. I took a Learn to Run clinic in 1996 here in Edmonton. This is St. Albert, but it's the same thing. And we just moved here from Kamloops. And I was trying to run on my own. I didn't feel I could do it. I was running from light post, walking, running to another light post, walking, and it was awful. I started trying to run in the middle of winter, and it was like probably the worst winter Kamloops had ever had. And I was in slush and snow. Buses were going by me, splashing slush on me. It felt awful. We moved here. I took a clinic in Collingwood in Edmonton and told my wife it'd be 10 weeks. That was 1996. So that's almost 30 years. And it just clicked. And the social aspect, I keep saying this in talks as well. The social aspect had a lot to do with that. I knew if I went, there's somebody to run with. There are people running my pace. I wasn't forced to run any faster than I had to. Sometimes I did, but it was always fun. We enjoyed it, and it was as much about the social as it was about running. And I almost like happenstance. It's almost like I fell into doing marathons. It's just by training with these people and running with these people and training with groups that could do that, and my lifestyle allowed for it. Bingo. Anyhow, so picking that goal. That's my daughter yelling in the background. That the goal was setting a goal. You set up, okay, you figured out what you can do, what that goal can be. And again, look at both those. If say your training plan, your ability to train will not allow you to do a marathon, if it is a goal, if it's a dream to do that, and you got that base and marathon is something you really want to do, talk to your significant others, talk to your bosses, talk to friends, and say, hey, can you help me do this? Is there some way we can work out our lifestyle so I can do this? And once you do that, once they know what you're doing, it's your dream, right? It's like any other goal you have. It's like you want to do that. There's a neat movie. I'm going to refer to movies and stuff a lot in this clinic. It's called True Spirit. It's about a lady named Jessica Watson, Australian, who at 16 circumnavigated the globe in a sailboat. And all she says is just pick your dream and work really, really hard and it'll happen. It's you can do it. If you can dream it, you can do it. But it has to be something that you've got support to do, ability to do, and make sure other people know how important that is to you. Because sometimes that works. I mean, I can't believe I did a couple of Ironman triathlons and I was never home. And if your significant other and your kids don't understand, it's a struggle. So make sure you understand that. And so make sure that goal is specific. Make a specific goal, especially if you're aiming at something that's your it could be a 5K, could be a 10K, could be a fun run, color me rad run. It could be whatever, but make sure you have that goal specific. If it's just to run for like 10 weeks steady, every 5 days or 4 days or 3 days for 10 weeks, that's a goal. That's a doable goal, but that's specific. And you can say, this is what I have to do week to week to week, and work on a training plan and make sure that your goal to get to the end of that 10 weeks and have something specific at the end of that 10 weeks. Even if it's for a 5K run on your own, just to do it continuous or 10 and ones or whatever you want to do, intervals. And there's a route that you've always wanted to do and you've seen other people do and you want to do it, make that your goal. Make sure it's measurable. Make sure what you're doing is measurable. Make sure it is a 5 or 10K. Make sure it is maybe a time goal. You want to run continuously for 30 minutes after 10 weeks. Go for it. Um, there's one called a because the acronym, whatever I'm using is called SMART, SMART. It's used for other things other than just running. The second one is assimilate or whatever. I'm not sure what A stands for. R, make it realistic. That's what I was talking about. Make sure it's something you can do. If it's something you can't, don't see if you can get support. But if you can't, just pick something else, something just as good, something that you can dream about. Maybe it's a run somewhere, a run in Maui or something. And then, and time related, make sure it's 10 weeks, 18 weeks, 8 weeks, 5 weeks, whatever. I think 10 weeks is probably the most doable. During COVID, one thing I saw a lot of is people who just ran because they like to run. Maybe that's what your goal is, get to the point where running is something you like doing. That's when we talk about pace and stuff next week, I'll talk more about that. Make sure it's a pace you can enjoy. Understand what the different paces are, and what other runs are. So plan on that. You want to make it, I'm going to say quantitative. I know John Stanton says you can be qualitative or quantitative. Make sure it's substantial. Make sure it's something you keep track of. I think that's important. And just also surround yourself with people that are like-minded. I think that helps as well. If you work in an office, there's going to be somebody else in that office that runs as well. You'll find that out. They'll actually talk to you about that, and they'll support you. And also make sure you brag about it among people you are with and stuff, so they understand how much this means to you. Say, hey, I went for a 20-minute run today or a 15-minute run, and it was like -40 out. Just make sure you share that. Make sure you're proud of what you've done. Brag about it. Post it on Facebook or Instagram or whatever. Do that. Yeah, make sure you got that. And make sure you have goals maybe for weekly as well. If you want training plans, I can come up with training plans. This is a little thing I talked about, I think, on my recording last week. AI. Who knew? GPT, whatever. But I've used that. I don't know if I've got it here with me. I actually asked if it could plan out a marathon training plan or a half marathon training plan, and it was super easy. Again, it's not going to match what we get for the running room. I don't know if I've got it here. I maybe don't. Chances are, no, I don't. Come on, Lauren. I thought I did. Anyhow, it was really neat. It came out. It gave me. I said, give me it for 18 weeks. Make me gave it a goal time. Told it I wanted Mondays and Fridays to be my rest days. I wanted cross training involved, and it came back. And first, it came back with based on miles rather than kilometers. I said, can you correct that? All I have to do is, can you do the same thing in K? I don't have to go whole question like you have to do in Google. I just said, can you make it in kilometers? And it did. And it's like bang like this. It's sort of close to the running room training plan, but it's interesting to do that. And there's other places you can look for training plans. But I thought that was so cool. And I actually asked, for an easy training plan for the half marathon. You could probably make it for one that you want to qualify for Boston with that full marathon. So yeah, don't be afraid to use that. Go online. Impact Magazine, like I've said before, is important as well. And also, if your plan is, I don't want to say just your plan, but if your plan is just to become a runner and be comfortable running and enjoy running, do that as well. But I think make a plan to do for 10 weeks. Go for it, no matter how bad or how hard it feels. Just say, I'm going to do this for 10 weeks. It's like me doing this clinic, right? It's make it set for 10 weeks. Do it and commit to doing it. Make that your New Year's resolution, maybe, and do it for 10 weeks and see how you feel after 10 weeks. And then after that, you'll probably want to continue, or you may want to branch off into other things. You may want to say, I want to try a triathlon after this. So do that. We'll talk about cross training at some point. I'm going to say not next week, but maybe the week after, and how important that is to what we do. Because I do that too. I train like a triathlete. That's my goal for training. That's my what seems to work for me. And again, you can try different things. But I would say, first of all, you have a training plan for 10 weeks, stick to that one training plan. Don't change it. If you have a marathon training plan for Vancouver, Toronto, or Ottawa in May, pick one now, stick to it for the entire training. Don't change it halfway through. Don't open up a magazine or a book and say, hey, that looks like a good training plan. I'm going to morph for that. Pick one, stick with it for the entire time. And then after that 18 weeks or after that 10 weeks, then try the different training plan. But stick with it, because that's another area of problems. I've done that where, well, this seems good. This seems easier. I'll go over this. And then, oh, find another one. Oh, this one's better. So I'll try this one. And you're just bouncing back and forth, commit to one. Um, but I will next week again. I think I'll talk a bit more about strategizing your training plan as well. If you're doing for a half and a full, there's a couple of things that Running Room doesn't say that I want to say. I said again in the recordings on Facebook, if you saw any of them, is hills and speed. If you're training for a half or a full, don't wait the 5 or 4 weeks until you start doing hills. Don't wait till near the end of the clinic to start doing speed. I think do those throughout the training plan. Maybe after the first week, maybe not. Maybe take a week and then go for it. But if you got that base built, that foundation built, there's no reason you can't do that. The reason they do that in the training plans is they want to make sure you have that 4 or 5 weeks of building that foundation and then going for hills. Go for hills now. That we'll talk about hills again soon. I talked about hills, I think, last week on the Facebook. So if you want to go watch that, that's fine. But yeah, I don't like, that's one thing I have to say I don't like about the running training plans. So they seem to be almost aimed at people who are just starting out and don't have that foundation. And you want that. If you're learning to run 5K, don't really think about hills. Don't really think about speed. Don't think about pace. Don't think about anything else. Don't even think about distance if you're a learn to runner and you're just starting out and you want to get that point where you feel like you're comfortable running, and then pick a goal. If a 5K is your goal after 10 weeks, that's fine. We'll get you there. We can get a learn to runner to 5K in 10 weeks. That's easy. That's doable. 5K, if that's your goal, 5K, 10K is more just learning. 5K is polishing off what you learned in that 5K, learn to run, and 10K boosts you up a little bit. I know some people ask, well, why don't we have a 15K? There's not that many 15K races for one thing, but once you get to 10K, you're half the way to half. And I think if you can do it 10K, add another 18 weeks on top of that, you should be able to do a half as possible as well. It depends on you. It depends on your training, how consistent you are training, which is a huge thing. I'm going to say in this clinic is consistency is the biggest thing. That's why I say set that plan now. Stick with it for the 8, 10, or 18 weeks, because as long as you do it week to week to week consistently and don't miss, and again, if you can't, that is going to be the problem, right? So make sure you can do it. Do it, just do it, but make sure you can do it. But once you have that set in stone week to week to week, that consistency works as well. That's my daughter, again, autistic, so she yells every so often. But yeah, and I'm going to talk a bit about visualization in a couple weeks too to talk about that. Anyhow, been yapping for half an hour. Nobody's logged on yet. But anyhow, plan your training plan now. If you want advice, just email me, message me on Facebook. I'm here. If you want to do something on, I could possibly do something Saturday. I'm here. I'm around. I've got a run to do in Edmonton, 9 o'clock. I'll be back home about noon, so I could probably do something extra on Saturday. The rest of the week, I'm sort of tied up this week. I've got Run Club Wednesday, home Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. But if you want to do some specifics on one, I think somebody was asking about that. Chat. Send me a message and pick a day that you can do that, and I can do it, and we can chat. If you have specific questions and concerns, go for it. Again, it's my own Zoom account, so I can do whatever I want. Yay! It's freedom 50, or for me, freedom 65. Anyhow, so we talked about that dream goal visualization. We'll talk a little bit later. Training plans. Set up that training plan. Again, if you want to use ChatGPT, if you want to do impact, if you want the running of training plan, I can figure that out. I can figure it week to week for you if you want as well. Anyhow, there's 4 people said they were going to be here. They're not here yet, which in a half an hour, so I can talk for half an hour and I'll continuous. So next week I'll be back on here 6 o'clock Monday for sure. I'm not going to bail next Monday. I've got absolutely nothing to do today. I'm seriously tired. This was a hard day, and I'll talk about the different paces really quickly. I'll talk a bit more about hills if people want. And I'll talk about that training plan, how to make it work for you. And just if you have this, if you're taking clinics before and you saved the stuff like I asked you to, if you're in clinics, remember when I got to go to the end of clinics, I would say, before the clinic's over, go through that whole manual stuff and just download everything on that page that you want, the training plans, the manual, because they're yours for life, right? So if you did that, you're good as gold. If not, I've got some saved. And hopefully I hear about clinics tomorrow or sometime this week. I'm sort of disappointed haven't heard anything yet. And also, if you're like me and a little bit older, I can make this clinic about that as well, because this is my manual. I'm actually digging through this right now, run until you're 100, because for me, 100 is 25 years away. 25 years is not that long. So yeah, I'm a little bit terrified. Anyhow, so we'll talk again this week. If you want to talk, let me know. We'll talk for sure next Monday. And I'm available at various times of the week. So if you want to connect one-on-one, I can do that. Anyhow, have a good weekend or week, because I'm retired, so every day is my weekend. We'll talk later.